You all's on first on the list, so you'll be able to get out here quicker. We need to go through this. Be pretty.
I'm ready whenever you are.
I'm dressed like this, 'cause I'm gonna do right to the leave. So
There you go.
you guys ready?
Ready to roll.
I got my mic on. Everybody got their mic on?
Yeah.
You got yours on, John?
All right. I'm good.
Tell us when you're ready.
We're ready.
Call this meeting order. All stand, face the flag for the pledge of allegiance. Please remove your hats. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Put my hat back on, so say. Roll call, or Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
I am here. New issues, we'll go right to the start. Redevelopment Commission, John Moore. Purchase of HVAC for Ernie Powell.
Good afternoon, I guess it is, isn't it? As you're well aware, we will be taking ownership of Ernie Powell on or about the 30th of December. Purpose being to create a qualified early development daycare facility capable of holding approximately 156 people, or bodies. Anyway, we've got an architect who has done a preliminary drawing showing us what is needed. We've got Mike Hamilton, who has actually been our kind of a liaison between us and the architect, going through the specifications. We discovered 2 or 3 months ago that as of 12/31/2024, HVAC systems will no longer be able to use 410 Freon. It goes to what they call a 454B, which is more expensive. The cost of the equipment is more expensive, and there are a few bells and whistles that apparently they don't have worked out yet, because the people Mike has consulted with have said, we don't even know when we'll have equipment available if you need it. Long story short, we opted to go with possibly buying new stuff in 2024 that has the 410 Freon, which according to sources, the internet and Facebook, so we know it's true, you'll be able to get the 410 Freon for quite some time, although the cost of it will go up. However, the cost of the 410 equipment is, until the end of the year, was going to be at a reasonable price. So Mike got with a supplier. They wrote up some specs. The architect said that we could buy this equipment and they would be able to engineer around it. So we sent out 3 quotes for HVAC equipment. We got 1 quote back from Layton Refrigeration, and the quote was less than $150,000. In fact, it was $148,510 for all the units that we need. We approved purchasing it. The council had already reappropriated enough money to cover it. So what we're here today is to ask you to approve that purchase.
Sure.
If you have any questions, if I can't answer them, Mike will answer them, and if he can't answer them, then we're in deep duty.
Yeah, my question was where's the funding coming from? And the Ready grant didn't come through, so I'm thinking where you're getting it. So that was my question.
So
we actually have the money, but it had to be appropriate.
John, this is more of a question on the appropriateness of being able to just go out for 3 bids or verbal bids for whatever they were. And this is a project that it's not just buying equipment, it has to be installed, possibly other components that are involved in the same thing in the HVAC that exceeds the 150,000 mark. This kicks into different process requirements. piecing these projects out is not considered an appropriate, well, anyway,
Let me look at the statute.
If you would,
Give me a
please.
few minutes while you guys are doing things.
you know where I'm going.
That
I do.
purchase was for equipment, no install, you're just buying
This is
equipment.
just equipment.
Okay.
Now, and when we voted on it, Mr. Hamilton abstained because of possible conflict of interest in the future. But the equipment's being sold without the install. Of course, the supplier would love to be the one that gets the bid to install it, but when we get ready to install it, that stuff will have to go out.
Who owns this equipment now?
Beg your pardon?
Who owns this equipment now?
Well,
Or
right
who are
now
we
it's-
purchasing it from, I guess?
Okay, it's American Standard Equipment and Layton Refrigeration.
Layton,
Aaron
okay.
Clinton is the one gonna purchase it for us and sell it to us at that price.
We've done a lot of work with Layton, they're good people.
Are Layton's potentially going to bid on the installation?
Yes, sir.
So John, at the council meeting, do you know where they appropriated, I don't, or maybe Brenda, you were there. Do you know where they appropriated this 148,000 from?
Economic.
Okay, I see that's in the fund. I see where it,
The location. Economic development has two locations, economic development location, and then they have
the 1150.
no, the 18.
Okay, well, the one I'm looking at, it just says 1149, and there's another three, there's 606, and there's professional service fees, and there's, yeah, I don't see any three, that's what I was asking. So I know redevelopment has a line under economic development, but
It's a separate location.
John, has the engineering been done on this already?
Excuse me, some of it. And the reason I say some of it is because we had applied for a little endowment grant. We got notified about a week ago that we weren't gonna get it, and that was for $3.5 million. We're fairly certain we're gonna get some ready money, but that's not 100% sure. So if we don't get
I
that,
think
right
that's
now
what
the
that's-
plan is United Way has a grant that's actually literally endowment money, but you can't get it from both places. We're gonna look into that. But
So how far is the engineering complete on this? 20%, 80%?
it's not, I would be hard pressed to give you an exact number, and the reason I say that is because we haven't really moved too much further because we don't know for sure how much money we're going to have to play with at the beginning.
One of the topics that came up also was storage of the equipment once you purchase it. Has that been resolved as to where it can go, or where we might be able to place it, hold it?
We can place it in the gymnasium. The big unit, there is a garage out there that is quite big.
It's on site, basically.
Yeah, it's on site, and we'd be able to put anything huge in that garage, and it's weatherproof. It would be safe.
So this is still gonna be working off the propane?
Beg your pardon?
Still work off the propane, right? But you also have the emergency backup, that type of system that if the propane don't do it, then you can do it from electrical standpoint, right? With these,
Isn't that vice versa? You go off electric, and then when it gets to be an emergency, you go off propane.
No, well, they're heat pumps, so it'll start with heat, and it'll be propane backup with electric.
so the primary source is gonna be propane or electric?
It'll be heat pump, electric, primary, propane as the secondary, and then emergency as straight electric.
It's a 3-stage unit. Okay.
Of course, the problem with propane is so,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, the last couple of years have been good, but
Yeah, but we got it for $1.38 a gallon.
a couple of years ago, it got up to $5 a gallon. I mean, it can cripple you.
Thankfully, we didn't have to fill that tank 5 years ago. But I noticed when I drove by Scott's on my way up here, they're selling their propane at $3.49 a gallon to the customer. I don't know what their bulk delivery is, but Kylie had notified me that I could maybe buy it through Illini, and it was $1.79, but the school corporation was under contract with what used to be Series, and now there's somebody else. Anyway, they got it to us on their contract price, which is about 38.
The thing about buying propane, maybe you all know it, don't, but the time to buy propane is August, September. I watch it every year because I buy mine. It's August, September, somewhere in that. That's the lowest price. You can see the trend. It's right there.
But if you're buying it with somebody that's got a set bid price, then it doesn't matter really much if you want to buy it. And we didn't really want to buy it. till
While
we
John's
were
looking
busted.
that up, do you have something that you're ready to present concerning the Elanco bonds?
Oh, well, it's gonna take us, I mean, we're gonna have to sit down at the table, and I've got a stack of stuff. for you
Okay,
guys.
I thought maybe it was something.
I wish I could, I can, just, while.
Come on up here if you're gonna talk, because
Well,
we can work this
while you're
out,
looking
trade
that
back
up,
and forth or
We
whatever.
went under 522 since we were buying equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and, we invited sealed quotes from.
Address yourself, tell them who you
Oh,
are.
sorry, Scott Craig, redevelopment attorney, among other things today. So we invited quotes from 3 suppliers under 522. I don't remember what the subchapter is. Since we were just buying equipment, and it's under 150,000, we invited sealed quotes, and we invited from 3 locals, and we got 1 response.
Okay, so you're saying, because you said over 150,000.
Well, the equipment's not over 150,000, but you're not supposed to separate your engineering, you're not supposed to single these things out.
I understand, but we don't even know when we're gonna install, so it
And-
was.
I think that's the second part to this, is that it's not supposed to be put together in piecemeal form, but I think there is an exception, and I don't know what is if you find that you can waive that because there's a benefit to the county because of reasons like what you
There
just
are
stated.
some, I know what you're talking about, Britton, there are some exceptions to the bidding rules, if there's like a good used piece of equipment, or there's something you're trying to get that matches existing stuff, or opportunity for great savings, something like that. But again, we were under the 150 on the equipment cost, and we weren't even looking at doing install until, sometime way down the road. So it may cost us more on the install because the contractor will not be also selling us the equipment, but the decision was based primarily on making sure we got those 410 units, I think, and they're going quick. They're going real quick. So that was the motivating factor. I do have
It does save the county.
Well, I think there's some type of exception, like I said, I think, but we'll
Well,
see
if it's
what
not
they
over
say.
150, I think you're fine.
Scott, I do have a question on
That's
the
only 100.
on the docket side of it. I don't have necessarily an issue with 148,000. I think it's good to buy stuff and wait on that. But so she said that redevelopment has a budget thing of 318 or a line item. Or their budget's three.
So I don't.
It's a location.
Okay.
Okay, so
Location for economic
I look at
development
it,
is 370.
within the Economic Development Fund, there are 2 departments.
Okay.
And one department is economic development, the other department is redevelopment.
Okay. So I guess
So-
so my question is then okay. So if economic development had somebody like a department head here, which right now we don't, the president of the commissioners you can say is the department head or whoever. So if redevelopment asks for a transfer out of this economic development budget,
It's not out of economic development's budget. It's out of the fund. There's a fund called Economic Development Fund. It
okay,
gets it's half the edit tax. And so under that fund, there are 2 departments. Just like under general fund, there's 15 departments. So under Economic Development Fund, there's 2 departments. Economic Development is one department and, or location. Brenda calls them locations, I call them departments. And then redevelopment's a second department.
okay.
And they both have separate budgets.
They have separate budgets. They're independent of one another.
Okay, because I was looking at the 2025 budget and it was like redevelopment was 1150 directly right under the 1149 fund.
Yeah.
That's another.
That's another
That's a
one.
different fund.
That's where
That's a
completely.
different
That's
fund. That's the
another
TIF money.
another
Yeah,
other
there's
deal.
2 allocation funds that are redevelopment.
I was just making sure that
It's
if
confusing.
you're like say if you're like the treasurer's office or somebody and you've got like a line item underneath them, it should have been approved by that other agency if there's 2 agencies in there.
Yeah, this is more like departments within, it's more like the sheriff's department and the auditors and treasurer, they're all under general fund,
Okay.
but they're all their own
So
location.
this year, since I haven't like reviewed, I mean, I haven't reviewed the redevelopment budget in a while. How much funding were they short then? I mean, I see that you guys had to ask for 148,000. So did the redevelopment not have 100 or anything for professional services in their budget?
We didn't have that much. We have like 10,000 for professional services.
So what was the total budget for redevelopment then? You had to just spend, I mean, just
Well, it's not much. It's like 125.
125,000?
Yeah, most
Okay.
of that's demo.
Well, yeah, well,
Hundreds
after yesterday's
demo.
quote, I can
Hundreds demo. So then we have $3,000 for like office supplies, which John never charges anything.
All right, I was just curious. That's
Yeah,
That's
it's not
fine.
much.
That's fine.
So
Because yesterday's bid was for tear down was almost 200,000, right? That's what I
180.
thought. All right, thank you.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion to move on with this?
I'll make a motion to approve, Brenda, is this the claim 1223? Is that what this is? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the claim in front of us for 1223 for, say, laser refrigeration and a cost of $148,510.
I'll second the motion.
I think, appreciate what you're doing. I mean, you all serve on these boards and you make a lot of money off them. We recognize that. Just joking. We appreciate all the time that everybody puts on these boards because a lot of times you don't give the credit you deserve, and I appreciate what you all, I think all of us agree with it and what you're doing. And a great project. I think it's got a lot of potential in the future. And I want to say I thank you for what you guys doing.
I have a question for discussion portion still. We're buying this equipment. It's going to, I guess it's immediately outdated as soon as we buy it, or maybe right now. Art says we go forward, these systems last maybe 14 years, if you're lucky, maybe longer. Will there be a source of this over the next 14 years of being able to actually have parts available? Are we going to be paying a premium basically to find these parts, or have to substitute something else in?
To answer that question, from what I was able to ascertain off the internet, and I didn't check Facebook, but
It's a primary source, why not?
probably 14 years from now or 16 years from now, if the machines malfunction, we'll be forced to buy new and use a new. But here's the deal. The 454 Freon is experimental to a certain extent. It's got, I mean, it's used a lot now in refrigerators, but for commercial use in air conditioners, it's still new. And the builders are having a hard time making it work without adding a whole bunch of control stuff to their product. We were told by an engineer that our architect works with that he doesn't foresee 454 lasting much longer than 2 or 3 years. At which point, then who knows what will happen. But we also know, based on what the supplier was able to tell us, as well as what I was able to ascertain, 410 will be around for at least 10 years, possibly 20 years. So we're going to be, as long as those units work, if we have issues needing Freon, we should be able to find it. And yeah, the longer it goes, the higher the cost is going to be. But by the same token, we should get our full 18 years, maybe longer, before something starts majorly malfunctioning.
So effectively, you guys done your homework and with the people
Well,
who
this
know
guy-
whatever.
This guy's done a lot of work,
Sure.
and as I kind of double checked some of the stuff that he and the supplier were talking about because I was skeptical, but everything I'm reading confirms what he and our other consultant have told us.
Yeah, and so everybody's in your group is in agreement that this is the right way to go, even if it lasts 5 years where they can perfect these other systems maybe, or do something
Well,
different.
the biggest thing about it, Britton, was this guy's local. And when we started this thing, that was one of our main objectives. We want to see as many local people involved in this because this is for the county. This guy's local, he's been around for 43 years. And I've talked to him a couple, 3 times. He knows his stuff. And he's one of those people, you call him on a Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday, and if he can't find somebody to come and do it, he'll do it himself. So I like that about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I may have something to add that may answer that question a little bit better. So the 410 units they're selling now, legally they can repair and make their custom parts at that point, but the manufacturer can still make those parts for up to 10 years to cover warranty issues and problems with that. So we'll still be able to get, if a compressor goes bad, you'll be able to get a compressor. It won't be on the shelf like it is now. It'll take 2 weeks to get. But now that we have 10, 15 systems, it doesn't really affect us like the one system out there now going there. But we'll still be able to repair those.
Yeah. Understood.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Scott, are you,
That's me. I'm the
What?
next line item.
do I?
I'm the next item up for bid. I'm economic development salt and mayo. No, it's not salt.
Okay, what we got on that?
I have a question for the commissioners. It was given to me from Louis Love from Purdue. I guess water salt. She wants to know how she needs to move forward with the water softener salt.
Who's she using now? What do you know?
I don't know.
You mean
but
ordering it or paying for it?
Getting it there, dumping it in.
That's Tim, he's in charge of it.
I'll tell you what, I finally got to a place, I built a new house up here in the subdivision, and the people who put in my water softener for that place, they're actually going to put the salt in them.
Well, all I'm asking is if you would look into that and take however you guys want to take care of that, make sure that it gets taken care of.
So the question is, right now, they're buying their own salt and putting it in?
They're not doing anything right now
Okay.
because Amanda did it.
But how did they,
Not
did-
getting
did-
that,
did-
she would do it.
she was just bringing the salt in, putting it in?
She would buy it, we'd pay
Okay.
the bill, she.
I'd have to look at the
I
brand
think
of it
she's-
and see who serviced it, and then get back
We need
with
to check into
them.
that,
So that's a little
obviously
worried.
water softener
If,
doesn't-
if we are thinking that this location is gonna be in the county for far future, as far as we can see anyway. We may wanna just change that system over to a, one that's serviced on a monthly or regular basis
That's what
as
I'm saying, a lot of
opposed
people are doing
to
that.
relying on an
So if
individual
you
to
guys
do.
could
Okay.
just take care of that.
Would you want to relook at a service contract with someone coming along and checking that and putting
That's
salt in
fine.
it and stuff
Well,
like
either
that?
replace it where it's not a salt-free system
Yeah,
or
we'll look at it, yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
But,
Or
So-
right there.
so
But you're
Lori's,
doing economic
Right.
development right
Lori
now as
Maslin,
far
okay.
as
Okay.
tail end of it.
Another thing that's not on here is I have all the shirts from the trail.
Mhm.
So disperse those, delivered with that off.
What trail thing?
Okay.
It's got a list of people.
who it needs to go to? Okay.
And then the mail, we're still getting the mail. Give all that mail to you, Tim. When that mail comes,
Yeah, I just seen the day where it's finally gonna be forwarded.
well, paper, snail mail, post office.
Okay, and then after the first year, we can all get together and
Yeah.
decide what route going on
Yeah.
that, but I'm just trying to
There's not
bridge
a
it.
lot, most of it's junk mail or bills, and a lot of the bills are the recurring bills,
Okay.
so
Okay.
he gets those.
With that
Sure.
in
If there's any
question,
major thing need, I'll call you,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Scott, as the council, no, I already asked this, never mind, I already know the answer.
John?
Go ahead, John.
Did you guys approve item B?
Yes. It was all in that same motion, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. Scott, did you have anything to say today, or I'm trying to figure out, you on the agenda for anything else?
Not on your agenda, Tim.
I don't want to ask you about the bonds.
I'll come and explain what we're doing now. So we've talked about this at our meeting yesterday, and you know we've talked about this before, but remember a long time ago, we started down a road with Elanco on an economic development project. We finally sold those bonds last week. It took a long time, I know, partly because of some complication. The good news is, part of the reason this was delayed is because Elanco kept increasing its investment. It went from 100 million to 150 million, and we ended at 196 million.
Well, really?
So, and every time they'd increase the investment, the numbers would change, and we'd have to go back and recalibrate. So, of course, the interest rates were changing at the same time, started down here, and they went up here, and now they started to come back down a little bit. But we were able to sell the bonds last week, $11.4 million worth of bonds. That's going to generate $9 million for, a little over $9 million for Elanco. And it's going to generate, if the projections were to hold true, it's going to generate about $10 million of money for the county that we can use right away, and another $10 million at the end of 25 years.
Is that based on tax?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tax increment financing. So we are scheduled, the bonds were sold last week. We used an underwriter named Baird out of Indianapolis. Brenda and I were on a bunch of calls with them. It was, I don't know, Brenda, it was very, they knew what they were doing, all right? Or they really did a great job of marketing these things, getting them out there, getting
Really good job.
good prices.
They did a good job.
And like Indiana Farm Bureau bought some of this. All sorts of investors were involved. So, but we are scheduled to close on December 30th. Nothing like waiting until the last second. So I have a stack of stuff here with 8 different people who need to sign things, and plus Brenda has to seal some stuff. So if you guys could please, John has to sign some stuff as redevelopment commission. Kelly's our redevelopment secretary. He's got to sign some stuff. I think I have almost everybody here but one person who I'm going to go see later, Lynn Brewer. She's with the Economic Development Corporation, so I got to go see Lynn. But otherwise, I can get 7 of you right now, and we can get these. I have to overnight them to Indianapolis. So.
Okay, let's recap that again. So originally there was $20 million bond sale, right? It was supposed to be originally somewhere in there. Yeah, there was.
Oh, no, I don't remember the original amount we were looking at when we were.
It was just for purchase of equipment first, right? Or,
mm-hmm. They're using it to purchase, to help with their equipment purchase, but originally their investment was 100 million. Then they said, no, we're going to buy more, 150. And the final number we ended up on was 196. So 196 million.
And that's for equipment.
That's for equipment. We've done an agreement with them that they agree to buy all, and they're going to buy all that. They're going to keep the employment numbers that they have now. They haven't not promised any new jobs, but they have promised to keep the jobs that they do have. Obviously, we think it's a very favorable thing to have a company like Elanco investing $200 million in our county, because that's a commitment to our county and to our facility. And we are, you know, they have told us there's no promise, but they think there'll be more than 196 actually, because, but we stuck with 196 is what they promised to do. So I think it's a great thing for the county. Elanco's been here, or its predecessor have been here for over 50 years, and they have, you know, they're a great employer. They're our biggest taxpayer. They're probably our biggest employer, or our second biggest employer, and so it's a wonderful thing to have them continue to invest in Vermilion County. And
well, last year I met with them, and they made me feel very secure about staying here. I mean,
yeah, and I think it's great because we're helping them. You know, this is helping them. They're happy about this too. They were happy about the $9 million that they're going to get, and so, but it's not just, you know, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, I think. Because
what's the terms of that? I mean, what will them bonds be? Sure, are they 20-year bonds?
They're 25 years. They're payable out over 25 years. So there's a amortization schedule that we've seen. I couldn't remember it. I can't remember all of it, obviously. The interest rates go up, I think, a little bit in the later years, but they're a little lower at the beginning. So people are more interested in stuff that pays back quicker than they are 25 years. But they sold them all. So
very good.
Timing was pretty good at that, looks like.
yeah, they were. It was kind of fascinating to listen to them, and yeah.
Was it a bid process or?
They went out and put them out there, and they got the best. You know, they're shopping them around. Give us the best price. Give us your best price. Give us your best, and then they're, you know, if they thought they got one, they said okay. But they're selling. There was like 7 different years of bonds they were selling. It's very complicated. I mean, I only understood about this much of what they were doing. So.
But the bids were actually coming out. You could see where they was bidding against each
other.
Yeah,
they were out there trying to get them, and then they were talking the day before the sale. They were saying, "Well, we think we're pretty good, but these PPI numbers come out tomorrow, and I'm like, what's the PPI? Well, that's the product something, and I was like,
Yeah.
so I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, how'd the PPI come, what did the PPI number do this morning? And what came out a little higher than what the analysts were expecting? And so like, yeah, we had to fight against that, because that was not great. And it was like watching one of those Wall Street movies or something,
Did is our financials as far as the county and our rating, did that make a difference?
Yeah, we had a
Favorable.
good, strong rating, and so that helps to sell these things. For a county of our size, I think we got a A rating. Now A sounds like, oh great, but it goes all the way to AAA, and then there's like AA minus, and so for a county of our size, it's very good, very strong.
Good.
Well, to add on to that, I think in 2020, we were 12th in the state as financial security and the manner in which we conduct our business. And as of this year, we're 7th in the state. So,
Yeah,
that's a scary number, or it's a very good number, but it makes you wonder what's going on with the rest of these counties.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions?
Basically, we're doing with this.
More papers to sign.
All three of them?
All three of them, you,
Okay.
Kelly, Josh.
Would it be best to set it up in the
We could have
conference
whatever you
room
guys
in
are
there?
comfortable with. And then I'm gonna go see Lynn when I leave here.
Is there an order that?
I've got them in order. So
Okay. We're gonna try to make this meeting a little quicker if we can with the rest of the stuff, and not get a lot of debate going on if we can help it. Open issues 2024-25 bids to fuel, aggregate, stone and gravel, corrugated pipe, and bituminous material. We had 2 more bids come in. These are bids. We don't have a problem with it being late because all these bids are based on location. So is that right, John? So if it's based on location, it ain't gonna make a difference when you get them. So we have one from Rogers Group here. Sitting on down the line. And this is for aggregate, stones, gravel, and sand. Next one's from
Sure,
Park
this
County
right here,
Aggregate.
We get all mixed up here.
Well, I have their, I don't have the numbers. Because I didn't.
This is also for, this is for aggregate. Park County address, okay. So all those are open. No other ones, right? Okay. Take them under advisement, or we're gonna be making a decision today?
I'm okay making a decision today. I mean, as long as they.
John, some advice here. Some of these are for this. We kind of divide the county up into north and south, and when we accept these bids by area, we will have.
Not going to.
Do we need to actually, if we have 2 bids in the south, do we actually need to let the bid to one of those
No,
2?
you can accept all,
Okay.
if it's for things like materials and stuff.
They can get it where they want to, it's convenient. That's convenience is a big thing for trucking.
Sure. Since they're aggregate bids, I'd still like to see them put on the spreadsheet though, so that it's easy for the highway to look at what they're doing cost-wise. It looks like they're a little bit higher than some of the ones, but anyway, this one is anyway.
So the aggregate, stone and gravel is just gonna be accepted the way it is because it's.
Accept all bids is what the motion will be, to accept all bids of the aggregate, for the aggregate section of it, or the by area.
I'll make a motion to accept the aggregate bids by area. You want me to list all the companies, or no?
If you want to.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Just by area, what's been presented to us.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I think we've had good discussion, so we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? aggregate done.
Put this one, here's the, those need to be added to this spreadsheet.
Tim, we're ready for the next one.
Do what?
Ready for the next one, whatever.
Yeah, the fuel. That, I'm just waiting to see what he had coming up, if he had one of them done. Whichever way he wants to go.
We only had one fuel bid anyway, didn't we? Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the fuel bid.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So corrugated metal pipe for bituminous, whichever one you have handy.
I would suggest if you want to have a little discussion before that. We have actually two, I think we want to split and award this. One is for the HDPE pipe and the other is for the corrugated metal pipes. And I got to pull that up to see which one was which, but I suggest that we separate those two and award it, the HDPE to, I think it's Advanced Drainage Products. Now I have to look, but anyway. When we get a motion, I think that's the route I'd like to see us go anyway. And then the corrugated metal pipes go to a second operator. Now this is only up to, there's more listed on here, but this is supposed to only be up to, I think, 36-inch or 30-inch is what the bid's for. When it goes over that, Highway has to go and find out where they can get this material, because it gets to be a issue as far as being able even, one, to obtain it, and two, to have delivery and what the cost of the delivery is when it gets to over that size.
So do we have another one that's not listed on here? Didn't you say you had them in a binder or something? Is that right, Kylie?
Yeah, Equal Bridge, they are
Oh, it's on the
on
back.
there.
It's on the
They're-
back.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of
Yeah, okay, I'm with you now.
pages.
I was just looking on the front where it was just wholesale drainage, metal culverts, ink, and advanced drainage.
Yeah.
Then you got E3 Bridge on the back.
I stopped.
That's a lot.
I can go get it if you want.
Nah, I'm not. I'm alright.
But we'll make it, it could make a difference,
Well, I guess it got me on some of the.
depending on how the motion's made anyway.
How did we do last year? Did we accept all of them last year for culverts?
Yeah, you did.
That's what I thought.
According to
That's not
John,
by
we
area,
have-
Three
though.
Bridge also was the one that did the rollover. They can keep their prices the same as last.
Okay.
John, on the material, you said that we have to take the low bidder on it unless they can't provide the material.
Yeah, if they couldn't provide something you needed, you could go somewhere else.
I got it here in a minute. I don't know what you say E3 was on here?
Do we have to prove this today? I mean, I think we need to pull some
No,
pieces here
you don't
together.
have to.
Yeah,
Can we just let this one here go till next meeting? I really need to look at it a little deeper on that.
that's fine if you
my
want to.
opinion. Don't you?
That's fine. Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna be putting, unless we lose a culvert, I don't think you're gonna be putting any in. And again, this is only up to the 36-inch. This isn't the
That's a lot.
larger.
That's
This
fine.
isn't the larger culverts either.
Yeah, we can wait on the corrugated.
Let's
metal pipe.
table this one, give it some more thought. I'd feel better doing a little more research on it.
All right.
Again, when you do this, I would look at the corrugated and or the HDPE as
High
separate.
density. All right.
Separate
Okay. What's next? The bituminous?
items.
Bituminous material,
Or is that just one person too, or is
That was
it
milestone only one.
milestone?
Motion to award the asphalt quote bids to Milestone.
Second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board appointments, Drive West Central.
I forwarded you guys that email that Doug had sent me. I'd asked him if he could provide any other information, but I think he's working 12s or 14s or something. So All he said in the email was just email him and he would answer any questions or anything you guys had.
Okay. I just
this
seen it
morning,
today. I
I
haven't
didn't
had
have
time
an
to talk to him.
opportunity.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have no problem with maybe making it next time or somebody put that off.
That's
or
fine.
have time to talk to him at least.
That's fine.
I'd appreciate
Do you
that.
know him?
I know of him. I've spoke to him a few times. I can't tell you. I mean, if you asked me for his resume, I couldn't probably do that. But just as an individual, I do think he's always well engaged in stuff. Goes to a lot of meetings up in Perrysville. He's very engaged in the community. I think he's just looking at the possibility to be engaged at a county wide. So
I'm not saying I'm against it. I just like to talk to him.
that's fine. Yeah.
This is for the Thrive position.
Yeah,
Would he
to
be
me,
able to
fine.
make those meetings if he's working those type hours?
He said he would once he, got the schedule and worked with him. So, but that's questions you guys. His emails have been forwarded to you guys to reach out to him. So,
No, I won't be.
well,
You won't-
voting on
you
that
won't,
part.
but I mean Tim.
Yeah, I seen it last night or yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He said
Yeah,
Rick
that's
and
like-
I's email didn't work. I
No.
don't know what he meant by that.
I don't know either.
He said that your and I's email didn't work. But I did send something to you that came back, I thought. Did they already change his email already?
No,
I think there was a mistype
it
on
was
it.
from Misty.
Okay.
So
I'm
I think there was
you
a-
didn't type it wrong to the board.
The forwarded, yeah.
We're gonna move on.
Okay.
So we're gonna put that on the table for the next
I'll send it to
meeting.
Misty as well.
Okay. The
Did
health
he-
board mayoral candidates, Britton has brought up something, and I clarified with John Spur. The requirement is the mayor has to provide at least 3 candidates for us to select one, and he only provided 2, correct? Britton?
So
Yeah.
far,
And so it's something that we
I
can't
think
move
he's been
forward.
notified that needs to make a third
Yeah.
appointment.
I had spoke to the
A third
mayor
nomination.
too today. He had called me about that. I think he's been, like you said, made aware, and he said he is reaching out to try to
Okay.
provide a third name. He just wanted to apprise the commissioners that it's been a struggle to get certain names or people to volunteer to stuff, but he would do his best to get us a third name as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think that everybody shares. I mean, these board positions, it's not like people
Yeah.
think we got 100 people are trying to apply for. And most time we're trying to find people. And so,
Actually, I had 3, before we knew that the mayor was going to act, for that to change in the rules and all so forth, we did have 3 candidates for that position.
Yeah.
and there any requirements on a candidate, they have to live in Vermillion County, more than likely, right?
That's a good question.
He nominates and we appoint from that.
But then they have to put in Clinton. Or is
No.
it just his nomination?
I don't remember seeing anything in the.
I guess if anybody
Rule
has
that
any ideas for the mayor, maybe
proximity of the
forward them to him
city.
for his consideration.
These are county positions, it's just the city has the.
Yeah, we're moving on. John, you want to send a letter to him or something, or let him know? Or,
Can.
okay.
That sounds like he knows.
Yeah, he already.
So-
He knows. I think he watched the meeting or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I just want to know who's going to do it. Okay, we're moving on.
Was notified yesterday by him.
2025 Commissioner meeting approval, January 14th meeting, APC needs to know, or advertise. They need to know what the first meeting is
Time and everything.
for the first meeting.
Yep.
And then
Okay,
at that meeting, you guys.
So what
then
are
they'll
we've got on the
decide.
schedule for first, and then if things gonna change, and they can change, but if they need a date, I mean, I don't know what else to do. Other
Well, I know
than,
you guys were talking about different times. You just need to set in stone and for that person.
but if you go on a rotation, would it be a day or a night? If you, from now,
Day.
It's only for one meeting. You guys will decide what the rest of it is at that meeting.
I know that's what I'm saying, I'm just saying if it is in, if we go, well, according to sequence, you go day, night, that might change, I don't know.
Day. 9:30.
So it should be a day meeting for that.
Yes.
What do you think, RJ? I mean, you're, us,
Well,
Then-
just going off Misty's text that she can't do anything after 4:30. If we want all 3 commissioners to be involved, I think you probably at minimum would have to change that to. I think Brenda did she say gets off 4:30? Am I?
4:30. Only a second.
Yeah,
it
5:30.
need- any meeting needs to be a minimum of 6, so people cannot make it at 5 or 4:30 or 3:30.
Well, I think that, when I talked with her, I think 6 was an appropriate
I
time
would-
for her.
I would I would probably say 6. I mean,
Most of the meetings are 6:30. I think it'd be better if we kept that same number at least. I'm just,
One of her
it's fine.
issues at 6:30 was it's just gets into the evening so far, depending on how the meeting
Yeah.
goes.
I
That was
mean,
6
just
or
her
6:30, whatever you guys want to do.
discussion.
I mean,
just-
would Penny be able to wait if we coordinated with Misty after the meeting, or and say,
Yeah.
hey, 2 commit or in a
Kenny?
The area
Yeah.
plan.
She's gotta have her note.
Oh.
That's what it is. If I just put it in a group text with her or group email and say commissioners, what time? You can change it. Okay. I'm good with 6 o'clock then.
What are they doing? Is that for approval of the EDO or is that
They're
what are they
advertising our
doing?
meeting in it.
Yes, they're advertising that meeting.
as what?
Yeah. Well, let's say 6 o'clock on the 14th.
That's
Is that
fine.
okay?
That's
14th?
Yeah, we got that down.
Thank you.
Ambulance facility, Clinton Ambulance, they have, Britain's been working on this and they agreed to a 10-year agreement for leasing that. I'm hoping that, I think most people support it. It's almost a no-brainer when you look at the cost-wise. $1,500 a month. If you did have your own facility, that includes heating and air conditioning and the stuff commonly associated with owning a building. So you take another $500 off of that cost. If you had your own building, you're not paying very much for this. And it's a great value. It gives us a lot of time to figure out which way we're going south. And we can also, they can cancel, we can cancel. It's very flexible. Right, Brett?
Yes.
Okay, so it's coming up for a vote for approval. And
It's an amendment to the existing contract, and it just basically changes the terms from,
right. So if someone will make a
3 years to
motion, we
10
move
years.
forward on this.
I'll make a motion to approve the 10-year amendment to the agreement with Clinton.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion, I think is a very good deal. I think Clinton working with this is going to give us a lot of flexibility in the future. So call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. North facility funding.
If you will, though, if you'll send the amendment's been drafted, if we can sign that, but if you'll send it by DocuSign, at least to the city if we don't sign it, to all of us then.
North facility funding,
big
different
check,
things
yeah.
going on there. We'll go over a little bit. Christy Jewell's been contacted. There's possibility of funding for next year. If we can make a June 2nd deadline. The grant that they're looking at is 90-10, 10% cost. Currently, they've talked about funding. According to Christy Jewell, it's a 90-10. You have $85,000 invested already to the council. You've already exceeded the 10% required for that project. Whether they do anything with it now, I don't know what the council is going to do, but that is the truth of the matter. There might be some more costs, maybe $30,000 or $40,000 for that $750,000 project to work. Am I right on that?
I think it was closer to 50.
It's $750,000.
I did actually talk to Christie this morning about
Yeah.
some other stuff.
The $750,000, and the federal government changed that from a $500,000 cover for building to a $750,000. Real convenient for it to be changed right when we're looking at doing it. So as far as funding, from my standpoint, if you want to do a building for $750,000, you've practically got with the $85,000 match. And I think Christy Jewell said another $40,000 or something like $34,000. There's some more cost in there, but technically the 10% is already matched if they decide to do it. That's there. Also, we have the prints in for the pole barn and also the metal building. And if anyone wants to see those, you can see those. North Vermillion High School, the property lease is ready to be looked at and approved today or not approved. So I'll bring that up for a decision to make on that property lease today.
Was that sent out somewhere, the property lease by North Vermillion? 'Cause I haven't seen it at all.
I emailed you guys a draft around the end of November.
Well, I mean, I remember the draft, but I haven't reviewed any documents since the draft. If North
Well,
Vermillion's
that's the
changed.
document, but in talking with North Vermillion last week, concerning whether they would sign it or not sign it, where it stood anyway, they did look at the site plans and had a few suggestions, or actually suggestions to change the lease agreement in 3 areas. One is that they would have final site plan approval or consent to the final site plan since it affects their ground, and the part of that is moving the septic system from where it's located on the site plan currently to the west to get it further away from the mound system that they have there. Second part is that given that Commissioner Dunman's mentioned that he is wanting to change the locations, they're willing to sign a 99-year lease or a 50-year lease, whichever one it is, but they would like to review this, and it'll be that if construction doesn't start in 5 years, that they'll look at the lease. They're not willing to tie the property up for 99 years and turn around and have the commissioners change their mind that they're going to move it someplace else. And so if the construction doesn't start in 5 years, it needs to go back to North Vermillion. Not that they won't re-up it for another 5 years or for another period of time, but if we're not serious about it, there's no reason to be tying up their property. And I agree with that too. The second part of that is that once construction starts, that'll be continuous and that'll be completed within 2 years. Again, if we can't meet those requirements, they could agree to, if they saw that we were doing something, but to go out there and throw a shovel dirt at the end of 5 years and say, well, we started, and come back a year later and throw another piece of shovel or dirt someplace and say we're continuing, isn't quite appropriate, and I've seen that done. But those are their considerations for the change in the lease, and if we're in agreement with those changes, we can affect those changes, sign it, and they'll sign it as well.
One of the big things about this decision that we have in front of us is it's been a long time coming. We've appointed a good ambulance board. I think it's very important that we get good information from people who are qualified to present that. We fire chiefs and emergency management and people well qualified to make recommendations to us, and they have recommended that be built there at the school corporation. There on the north side. As Britton said, the ground can be acquired. It's right next to 63. It also has access underneath of the train track there, directly west of there. It makes it accessible to the west side of the county. So a lot of good things, and it's like I said, it's a very, and also from the emergency response, that's one of the issues we have right now is another recommendation is the emergency response time and balancing that response time out. And that was a recommendation not from me or any of us up here. That came directly from those from the ambulance committee. And I think that what they've done and what they did their homework, and they presented to us the evidence and the justification of why they want it there. So
North Vermillion School Corporation is real excited about this. The whole board and the administration there is thinks this is a marvelous idea for them, and I believe that it solves, or for the future, it does provide, given what we know and what our demographics are, for the foreseeable future, this is a good location and it does work.
The other thing is we're protecting, making sure that we really protect our most valuable asset, and that's our kids, our children, and having that ambulance facility there next to North Vermillion is, I think, a very wise thing, and also makes it more accessible. There are football games up there and things like that, and it makes a lot of sense. So
anyway, if you guys are in agreement with those 3 additional conditions to the existing, or the draft that we have anyway, of the agreement, then North Vermillion's willing to sign it as well.
Well, I think one thing of their 3 suggestions, the one they wanted final oversight over any changes, was that one of them you said?
No, final site plan approval.
Final site plan
In
approval.
other words, if we change what we've got there, except for the septic system, is acceptable, but if it changes I don't know what, if the architecture, if the site changes where we move it closer to the mound system, they may have a problem with that. If I don't know what site changes, they just like to see the site changes, and one of them is the septic system.
So do you know if there's any other site changes? Because that's going to be an added cost, is it not, from the architects for any changes to the
site plan? No.
There will be no cost to change the site plans.
I don't believe that they've gone in and actually tested the soils, and I don't know this for a fact, but I expect that the soils are the same if we move it 100 feet to the west or 50 feet to the west. I don't think there's a change in
the water system has already been, that decision has been changed totally. I mean, they're working on potable water coming in before the meter.
This is just a septic system.
Well, yeah,
The
I know,
septic system, regardless of which way you go, you have enough ground there to handle that septic system.
The question was final site plan approval. Their concern is that they would prefer that system, the septic system where it's located currently, be moved to the west.
Okay.
That's the only thing, but they would like to also, once we decide, and if there's other changes to the site plan, they would like to have some input on that as well. So it does affect the looks of or could affect the looks of the property, or how the property is used, or who knows what. I don't know if there's really any, it's only 2 acres. Much else can change, but if we change the configuration of the driveway for some reason, they would like to have final site review of it anyway. Or at least concur with us that that's appropriate. Seems like they're very reasonable.
well, no, I'm just asking, are they gonna have final site approval and everything? That's, I mean,
It's just the site is if you look down on it, what is it?
I
look like?
understand that. I'm asking, because you've said 2 different things, kind of. You said a final site approval, and then you said they want to like concur and just work with us. Well, those are 2 different things. If you're putting in a contract, if somebody's saying, hey,
They
just-
want to approve this. They want to concur with us. They're not gonna, if it's acceptable to them, otherwise we need to change it back to what it is today.
that's what I'm asking. Are they going to have the final yes on it, or they're going to say, hey, the commissioners have said this is it, this is the final, and they go, no, we don't like that.
You
We
know,
like,
that it says that they will concur, they will sign off on the site plan approval.
so they're the final person on it. Okay.
So you want to make a motion, or what we're gonna do here?
Make a motion that we approve the contract with North Vermillion School Corporation with the 3 amendments being site plan approval, 5-year period to start construction, and then a 2-year build out that needs to be continuous until complete.
I'll second that motion. Discussion? I'm trying to figure out why anybody, is there any reason why you're objecting, RJ? I mean, this is a big thing for our county.
Tim, I think I've, over the last 6 months, made my objections. I don't even say they're objections. I've made my opinion abundantly clear on the entire project. I've said it multiple times. So I really don't have anything else to add.
I don't know that I'm clear with what your concerns are. Can you restate it?
Well, Britton, I've stated them before, and again, you're done December 31st. So I mean, these discussions will carry on into January with new board members. So
Well, that's fine, but I am still a commissioner until.
that's fine, and
Legislature
I've stated them before, Britton.
So you're going to refuse to state them again?
I'm not stating my opinion again. No.
Well, that's.
Okay, everyone's entitled to their opinion and voice their concerns, and that, I appreciate that. That's why
I don't know
we're here.
that I understand.
I do
them,
want
but-
to say
Britton,
again,
I've explained myself multiple times, and every time I do, you never understand. So there's no point in rehashing it for a 10th time.
we're moving on.
So-
Just bring it all together. I appreciate everyone who's worked on the
That's
project.
why you're a commissioner, isn't it?
I
I
just
appreciate everyone's worked on the project. I think it's a very positive thing. Like I said, we're relying on professional people and their decision-making, and I think it's very positive. And especially, council, look forward to working with them to come up with some type of agreement. Contract architectural plans, I don't know if you guys received that notice. You said they're all done. Did you guys
We haven't
receive
voted
that?
on it yet.
Did you receive that? What? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I abstain.
We do have the prints available. If anybody wants to see them, look at them. The council was recommending or asking for an alternate bid on it due to they wanted to look at a pole barn construction. That's all done. So if you guys want to see them or whatever, let us know. I think you got copies in there. And so we've done everything, trying to work with the council, what they want, what they expect, and we fulfilled that. So anyway, Funding for South facility. No, I don't know what you got on this. You talked about on the health department. Only we don't have nothing for the funding for the South if we're going with. Are you talking about the council approval to fund the?
Well, it may be a moot point. It doesn't matter whether we were going to do any, if there's any motion to move on the funding for the South facility. Are we going to pay for it all? We're still going to go for Okra in 5 years, 10 years? Are we going to, how are you going to fund this facility, and are we going to do anything with it, or is it just going to be? But
You talking about the Clinton City?
no, we were talking about a facility at one time being located somewhere between 163 and the high school, and
Well,
Fairview property came up as a possibility.
I think just since we've already did something with South for the South end, we need to leave that go and put our efforts
That's
to the north.
fine. It's-
You know,
So there's nothing to do.
I think
there.
that's what everybody is looking at doing.
But we've not decided on property, plant funding, or plan development on any of that at this point. So if it's just to be tabled until later, then that's fine too.
That's something I think that deal with later. County engineer, I talked to Park County again. They ain't there yet. They're having some changeover. I asked them when, and I'll ask them again when. I don't know what will happen in the future. I know I've worked hard on this for years, and the timing hadn't came up yet. I think it's a very wise thing to do. The state of Indiana gives us $40,000. They give Park County $40,000. We'll have to come up with $20,000 a piece to have an engineer at 50% of the time. So you'll be investing $20,000 roughly for an engineer at 50% of the time. And I don't know how much better value you can get that, but it's very important that we have a county engineer. Decisions about roads and streets and something shouldn't be at the determination of commissioners. I think we can do it anytime we want to, but it needs to be done from the standpoint of use and be able to back by people who have that knowledge of roads and streets and which should be the priority of doing things. And I think that's something an engineer would give us a lot more solid information on making good decisions. So that's the update on that. There's nothing to talk about that right now. Other than what I just told you. Internal policy, I don't know where we're at on that. Credit card assignments. Unless you got some update on that. I don't. You do? You don't? County parks, I have no update on that either.
I did do a review, a GIS review, which is very high level look at it. The parks are not in Vermillion County's name on the GIS. That's not to say that the record doesn't reflect that in the recorder's office or in some other means, whether it's commissioner notes or whatever it may be. But right now, we don't know what we have as parks and what we don't have as parks. What we're maintaining, the Parks Department are maintaining properties that I'm not sure that we ever agreed to, or how it was agreed upon that we're going to maintain properties. And maybe we want to and continue to, but it's just, the record's not very clear. And Parks' budget was cut again for 2025, and they're having a hard problem or an issue potentially with being able to maintain these parks. And I guess it comes back to the research still needs to be done to find out really what the county has legitimately or on record.
We need to sign that project for somebody, one of us. I know Brittany, you're going out. RJ, you got any recommendation? We can put someone in charge of doing that part?
That's fine. I can take over that parks deal, and then I do think the parks do need to reevaluate what they're doing, because I know they mow more than just the parks. And if the council is, well, they did cut their funding substantially, and I think they're going to have to reevaluate what they take care of, because you can't mow stuff for free, you just can't do that, so.
But they're taking care of Ernie Pyle and, there's 3 areas that they're taking out, not truly parks, but they're areas of public interest. And that's not to say we don't want them to continue this, but we need to figure out what we're actually responsible for. And
So, first of all, we need to find out the Perrysville issue, right? We still dealing with that as far as our park?
there's all the parks. there is an indication that we may have some paperwork on the Miller Park, but other than that, and it never was recorded apparently either.
Be nice to have a
So
meeting
it
with
was
them
a-
sometime, wouldn't it, just to go over and
Yeah.
let them say what they want to say and.
But I've asked them, nobody has a good record of it at this point, and it just needs to be consolidated and
Okay.
approved if it's not approved.
So RJ's gonna look into that, the Plug Defender, you're still working on that, right, RJ?
Yeah, that should be finished up in January, so.
Okay. Construction costs, said that, you can get all that continued agenda of 2025. We just made one decision about when one meeting is gonna be, right? And I don't know if we maybe ought to, what if we can we set the first meeting and then have a meeting to figure out what we're gonna do on the schedule, see how it works for everybody, or
That meeting.
what?
To set the rest. Have that.
We got another meeting in January, the very first, because that's the 14th, right?
What date is your first
Yeah.
meeting?
If you wanted to have one before, then you could, I mean,
Oh, yeah, you can have
Yeah.
them whenever you want.
yeah.
I mean, with your.
I would just
Because
say,
I want
give,
to see what we can work out, you know,
Yeah.
what we want to do, make a balanced thing, you know, for everybody.
yeah. Whether it's a group text or group email, I think, yeah, all three of us need to throw,
I'd
throw the
rather
meeting.
for us doing a meeting, a decision about that, I'd rather for it be,
Well, yeah, I mean, but if anybody's got any proposals on the meeting times and stuff, but yeah, that's what
is that legal for us to do that, set meetings and make decisions without?
You can't make a decision.
well, no,
over
just
email.
bounce
So
ideas
I'm
off.
just trying to
it.
make sure we're
You
not,
could exchange information, but the
Yeah.
final decision making has to be in a public meeting.
Yeah,
so when are we going to do that?
if you want to send an email or something out today, we can do that today, and just have to wait for Misty.
But our
and
first
you for-
meeting in January is naturally the 14th anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
Okay,
But anything else would have to be agreed upon by.
okay, then we'll just put that on the agenda for our 14th meeting, 14th
That's
day,
fine.
right? And
That's
we'll
fine.
come up with that plan. Okay, Union Hospital Security Agreement.
That's until January. Those are continued, and A and B isn't going into January.
I would like to have whoever would be responsible for, I guess it would back the auditor's office, right? Because the cost per hour, I think there was a debate one way or another, like one was this, and what was the true cost on that? Do you know what it was?
What
Per hour,
cost us?
per hour? How much?
$59.
Now, is that figured with all the benefits and with their hourly rate, right? Okay. What it is, I support our sheriff's department 150%. I think they ought to make all the money they can, any way they can do it. But what it is, we got to look at things also. If we are contracting out a service to X, and it's for that X service, then that X service ought to pay the amount that is going out. And that's all we're trying to do is being reimbursed what the cost is. And like I said, some people think it's nothing against the sheriff's department. Like I said, we encourage, they do great, but we also, as commissioners and people in the council, we have that obligation to justify that cost and make sure that we're reimbursed at least what it's costing us. So that's where we're at on that. That makes sense. I think it makes sense to everybody.
Going into 2025, though, you need to consult with the sheriff with this, I would suggest anyway. Because
And it might be best just have him in for one of the commissioners' meetings so he can see what he has to
there's
say.
other nuances that you may want to consider in this price,
Yeah.
whatever that may be. And it doesn't mean that Union Hospital will agree with it anyway. They have multiple contracts with different agencies, municipalities. So.
Okay, so we're going to move on to that one next meeting. 2025, the ordinance,
That's January too.
we've already covered that with the date. Any announcements? We did have one resignation in town of Perrysville, and there will be a new person on town board here for long. Other than that, Christmas is coming up. Wish you all a Merry Christmas. Any other council commissioners?
I'd like to echo that what Tim said. Wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and also our signage on 63 by the highway garage and by the park. I think it says like Happy Holidays.
Sure.
I would personally, I'd like to see it say Merry Christmas myself, but I didn't know if any other commissioners had any objections to that. I haven't reached out to Mike or anybody that sets those up, but I wanted to ask you guys if there was any objections to. I had a couple people ask me about it, and I didn't even notice it until I drove by and seen it. But
That'd be a great
Did you?
thing to do.
okay, all right.
You gonna head that up and tell them?
I can call Mike, yeah, that's fine. I think Mike's in charge of putting those up.
Okay, public comment.
I have a question.
Britton, go ahead.
ARP monies, did we ever disperse those? That, whatever that was?
Yes.
And
so happy
do
to
we
hear
ever
that.
get an accounting, or has those projects been completed, or was there anything that came back to show how the monies were spent by the?
You talking about on
different
ARP money?
The one, the $50,000.
The ones that we gave out?
Yeah.
Oh,
I-
wow.
He overseen two and overseen one. Go ahead and do your two first.
Yeah, I believe the disc golf one is either finished or close to being finished, and the Eugene trustees one I think will be completed this spring, maybe. I'd have to follow up with her, but she's doing like a pocket park down there at the trustee's office, so.
The one at Dana was like a disabled place so people get in to go to the park, the softball park, and it has not been completed. I talked to them every day, and their current clerk is having a lot of rough medical issues, and it's kind of an inconvenience. So other people are trying to help out, but that's still there for them to do.
Do we have any issues with the monies? I mean, we spend it, but if it's not constructed or used in the manner in which it was intended, is there an issue going into January 1 this year? They still have another year or 2 or 3 or 5 or something? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I believe the one is kind of my responsibility. I think RJ will be checking on the other ones. to make
Yeah,
they're
for
done.
sure.
Hopefully by spring or summer, something good will happen. They can get them
Are
done.
they going to provide us with an accounting of where the money was spent and how it was
We
spent?
can request that.
I think it'd be appropriate.
Yeah. Okay, any public comment? Anyone? Appreciate you all coming today. Appreciate all the work of all the volunteers. Good to see Bill here. Bill does a lot with
Oh, yeah.
Ryan. Also, I want to say something to close. This is the last meeting, I think, for Britton Luther. I appreciate his help over the years. Most people will never understand what all he's done for this county. I mean, he saved us. When he first came in, I was facing the jail project. The jail project was $25 or $26 million. And he asked me if I wanted to take care of it. And I said, of course, because we've never had that level of expertise of a PE engineers overseeing millions and millions and millions of dollars projects that could actually talk with those people that was contracting $25 to $26 million project with and actually control a job that big. And for $20,000 a year for a full-time engineer on that job was, tremendous value. I know he came through on one of the bridges we was trying to get done and was trying to pay for it out of the general account. And he went to Community Crossing Grant and saved us $300,000. And he works hard. He's done a tremendous job for our county, and I just wanted to tell him publicly, thank him for what he's done, and he will be sorely missed. So,
Thank you.
anybody else? Public comment? Anybody make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Bring on the
I paid my
paperwork.
salary, by the way,
what?
just by taking a representative out that was a $250,000 line item. And by doing it ourselves, the jail that was $250,000 right there.